Hey, this is Kevin Nash, and you're watching THS Wrestling.
Hey everyone, welcome to THS Wrestling. I am Neeson, but you did not click on this to see my gorgeous face wax poetic about the beautiful sport of professional wrestling. No. You clicked on this to watch a former WWF champion for 358 days, 6-time WCW heavyweight champion, a 12-time tag team champion across all platforms, and a former leader of the Foot Clan, Kevin Nash.
What's up?
How are you doing,
I'm
sir?
good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I like to start off these interviews by asking legends like yourself, what inspired you this morning?
What inspired me? What?
What inspired you this morning?
This morning.
Yes.
When you're 61 years old, that first breath is like, all right, looks like I'm going to get to play the game one more time. So I'm at a point in my life right now where I live each day like it's my last, and because it could be, and you know, I got the COVID, I had it, and it scared the shit out of me because I'm male and A negative blood, and I've got American Indian in me, so I thought, man, when they told me I was positive, I went to WWE and they tested me, I was positive, they sent me home. I was just like, oh man, then my family, they all went in and got tested, they were all positive. And I was just waiting, like, oh great, like my wife's got respiratory problems, My son was asymptomatic, he's 24, he just basically just kept gaming.
Right, power right through it.
Yeah, nothing. My wife, my wife's almost at 2 months with no smell and no taste.
So it still hasn't came back?
Still hasn't came back.
Wow.
And I had 2 days where I felt like I ate like way too much Thai food. Like there's that intestinal, that kind of bubbly intestinal thing, and was tired for 3 or 4 days. I'd try to watch a movie or something like that, and I'd pass out or try to watch. At the time I was watching Kingdom. Is that what it's called? The shoot fight thing on Netflix?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the shoot fighters. Jonas is in it, but I was watching. I just started watching that, and I'd watch like an episode, then I'd fall asleep, and it'd be on episode 4, and it stops, it continues.
You still watching?
And then I have to go back and see where did I pass out at?
Right.
So I mean, it was trying, but
But we're on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. I said, 61 years old, you got COVID and you didn't croak, so.
Meant to do great things still.
Yeah, tougher than I look.
Tough. No, you look pretty tough. Like I just named off a fraction of the accolades that you just accomplished, and we'll touch on those. But first, I want to talk about the NBA, being that you're a former ball player.
Right.
Right. Who do you think should have won MVP?
LeBron.
Exactly.
I mean, and not even close. I mean, just there are I mean, I liked Michael Jordan as a player.
Yes.
I thought he was great, but I thought Kobe. I thought Kobe was bad. I would pick Kobe over, but LeBron is so big. And the thing is like when he takes the ball to the hole, like Michael finessed, Kobe finessed. LeBron all he does, it looks like a grown man playing against 9-year-olds, and once he turns that shoulder, there's nothing anybody can do.
It's like a linebacker playing.
Yeah, he's a 6'8", 250-pound, 5% body fat freak. He was an All-American tight end in high school.
Yeah, but in a wide receiver, right? Or wide receiver, yeah, because he was recruited by Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
the guy was a stud. I mean, he's like, And it's just, to me, for him to come back after the layoff and at his age, which I guess was probably a blessing without the travel and all that stuff he's got. I mean, it's, I guarantee you Denver right now is saying, oh, wish he was traveling back and forth.
I wish he had to get on those planes and get tired. He's sleeping in the same bed, same food, same everything.
Yeah. No, it's good basketball, though.
So I'm guessing we're just going with Lakers as champions.
Yeah, I can't. I mean,
like a man after my own heart.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't. I think LeBron right now, when they got Davis, it became, Davis is so much of a better player than Pippen was.
Yes. Yeah.
So basically you got the old thing is, who's going to beat Jordan in 7 games? Like, to me, it's like, who's going to beat LeBron in 7 games?
LeBron and AD in 7 games.
They're not going to do it.
I think that goes with the old adage, right? You can't teach size.
No.
Right?
No. And I mean, and they're big, man. And I was praying that the Clippers got beat, because the Clippers match up better against the Lakers. And Denver doesn't match up at all with them.
Right.
So I was just like, this is like, we're going to be in the finals. And for me, it was like, I thought Boston kind of looks tough. And then when the Heat beat them, I just went like, I can't see the Heat beating the Lakers.
Yeah. The Heat play zone defense, so they're able to throw bodies at the athletic Celtics.
Right.
The problem is that LA has the bigger bodies to combat that zone defense.
Yep.
And I bet you will see Denver try to play zone, and it's just not going to work. Because the Clippers play zone when they played against them.
Right.
And it didn't work the last time.
No. I think what it is it took AD and LeBron, like, they were getting to the point before the shutdown. And then when they got to the bubble, they had to get their groove again, and now it's like...
Yeah, once they got their defense locked in, it was over. But since we're talking about size, and you being one of the biggest and greatest big men to ever step foot in the ring...
Thank you.
Oh, man, thank you. What do you... Now we had a moment where we had small ball, but we had the small wrestlers really being the top guys. But now we see people like Drew McIntyre, we see Luchasaurus on AEW, we see Warlord on AEW, we see Keith Lee, we see Donovan Dijak. We're seeing the return of the big guy era. Do you think the big guys doing the flips and athletic moves, do you think that's a positive move forward for the big guy era?
I mean, to me, I think it's great that they can do it.
Yeah.
But I remember, like, one time I was still kind of Sean's bodyguard, and I did a leap. We had a tag match, and Scott was on the other side, and I called a leapfrog spot, and we got in the back, and Scott looked at me and he said, "Fuck, dude," he said, "You're the biggest guy in the you're the biggest guy in the Federation, and you're avoiding contact." I was like, "Well, I'm trying to be athletic." He goes, "Your money is that you'll bump." He says, "That's one thing you'll do. You'll feed a comeback. You'll bump, like you won't, He says but she says, he says, "What would you like? What you do is you cut the ring off. You get a guy in the corner, and you pound him." He said, "That's what you do." He said, "That's why it works."
And so that's just now we're at an evolution to where
the game, like, nobody sells shit.
This is true.
I mean, to me, it's just like, nobody sells anything. And it's like, to us, it was always, to sell and get the double downs and the falses. And now with guys kicking out on moonsaults and, it just, but like, I also don't want to be the guy that, I remember, the guys that were our agents when we broke in, and they say, "Oh, kid, we used to do 60 minutes through." Then you watch their 60-minute through, and they're in a headlock for 48 of it. So it's just like, everything evolves. And I think sometimes the women have better psychology than the guys do.
Let's talk about the women. I was gonna ask you, out of the women now, who would you want in the NWO? And I'm talking early years of NWO.
Right.
That would be the first question I'm gonna ask.
I'd be Sasha.
So everybody that's watching this knows my heart and knows where Sasha Banks lies on my best wrestler and favorite wrestler of this current generation, men or women. What is it about Sasha Banks as far as, and just women in general, about the psychology? Why do you think?
I thought her match at SummerSlam that she lost, I thought the psychology was amazing at the end.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, there was some thought, but there was several times that she had her in is she going to tap? No, she doesn't tap. And they worked it back and forth, and I thought, I'm not seeing that anywhere else. I mean, I'm seeing it here. I'm seeing it in her match, and she's very attractive. I mean, that goes without saying, but she has that swag. She's got that.
She believes it.
She's the total package. I mean, she's.
So Austin said that, Stone Cold Steve Austin said that early on in NXT, after the Sasha and Bayley match on his podcast, he said she has the total package. Like from ring entrance to attitude to selling, the whole thing. She believes it, you believe it. She's money. And one of those things that couples that is entrance music. Now, you were Diesel in WWF, and you had a famous theme song that had a diesel in it. It was done by the great Jim Johnston. I'm assuming, right, during that era. So I don't know if you've heard, but like CFOs did an amazing era of music for NXT and for wrestlers. But now that they're gone, music is really falling off.
Oh, I know.
How important, and this is across AEW and WWE, how important is a wrestler's theme, and is that something that you would fight for? Is that something that you would speak
because
up for?
I mean, to me, when you have a match, the first thing that happens that gets a response is your theme music. Mm-hmm. So they hear that first note of, like I thought I used to tell Scott that all the time, that like his Razor Ramon music was sweet.
Oh.
Doo-doom, doo-doom, pa, pa, doo-doom. I said, you know why you're going to get over? We were stoned one day. I said, you know why you're going to get over? He goes, why? I said, because you got sweet ring music. He looked at me like, what?
Man.
But it was just like, and he did.
You felt it. Soon as it hit and he came out.
And then it was like, so you get that pop, then you get the pop when he comes through the curtain,
right.
And then he had the swag, right. And then it's like wipe his feet, go in, do his cha-cha-cha, and then he could. To me, he's the most underrated of all the people that have been in the business.
Okay. Let's talk about that, because I was gonna ask you about that. That's you're doing my job for me.
Okay.
Why do you think he never got a heavyweight title run? Because to
maybe
me,
it's demons. I don't know. But Scott is like one of the least marked. He's just not marked.
Yeah.
He don't get like. I remember when he was supposed to beat Jericho in like 3 minutes on a Nitro, and Jericho was starting to get a push, and Jericho was getting over without. I should say no. Jericho was not getting a push, but he was getting over on his own, and Scott put him over. And they came through the thing, and Bischoff said, like, what the fuck was that? And Scott was like, you didn't watch the show? Like, he's got it.
Wow.
Wow. He's like, I don't need to win.
Right.
And then that's like a TNA. Like, I remember one night, one of the agents came up to me and said, I thought you gave him too much. And I said, don't you think I've had mine? Like, it's time to, like, no, man, like.
Wow. That's interesting because
Scott never went in. you have to lobby for that thing. You know, it's like the politics of wrestling, or that's as important as your if not, I think more so than your moveset. Because my moveset was six, 7 moves. You know,
we see that with John Cena was the top star for a very long time in WWF, going on 15 years, right? 5 moves of doom, as they coined it, as the internet coined it. But he was positioned himself to be.
I remember when I came back and
in 2002.
No, this was the next time. Maybe
Okay.
13.
Oh, okay.
Maybe like 13 or whatever it was. I don't know. And I had really never spent any time with John. And the first TV that I went to was Edmonton. And they chanted like Cena sucks the whole time during his segment. And then I was sitting in the back of a Suburban, and we were leaving, and the hordes of people were piling out of this the building. Every kid from 5 to 13 had a Cena hat, a You Can't See Me shirt, and wristbands on, like the Cena $100 package. Every kid.
Headband, wristband, jeans, shorts, t-shirt.
He might suck, but every kid in that building loves him.
Dang.
And the thing is, and that's the whole thing, you know, a guy like Cena is a hand grenade because your kids love him. Well, if your kid's 9 years old, he can't go see John Cena. So Dad, you got to take me to go see my boy. And while we're there, we need to. I don't have that orange one. I got the green.
Right. So Dad's booing John Cena.
That's why, because Cena just cost him $2. Like, fuck you, Cena. Cena sucks. Yeah. This kid's sitting there going, no, he doesn't.
So have you watched AEW?
I watched it early.
You and Scott Hall. You know, we all heard the story about you guys going to WCW, but the real shift happened then because you guys were able to put eyes on WCW, and then everybody followed. And then it was as a tag team, but individuals. Do you see anybody that can make that impact now, going from WWE to AEW? Because AEW has the same feel to me as early Nitro days.
Yeah.
It has the loose feel. It's 18 and over. It's pushing the envelopes. It's new characters that they're building.
Right.
So who do you see, in your opinion? And
God,
because I feel like, and I say this because I feel like the stars are made differently now. Like there's WWE.
I don't think that one of the biggest things psychology-wise is. There won't be another John Cena. Like there won't be a man. They don't want to create that anymore. They want to create several stars.
Right.
Like when it used to be, you were a WWE superstar. That's what they're doing now. I think turning Roman was huge.
Fantastic.
And it's been because they did with Roman what they did to Diesel. He was over as an ass kicker. Then they made him do the little teacup commercial and all that, and people,
people forget about that. It was the father commercial. Yeah, people forget about that. That's right.
That
was right around the time he came back from Mania.
And I had the fucking, I remember with the Santa Claus hat on. I was beating everybody's ass, and the next thing you know, Wish You a Merry Christmas with in Titan Tower, basically just castrated. And then I did the tweener thing on my way out and got back over.
Right.
And that's when Diesel was the match with Brett going forward was probably the best of Diesel because that's who I was. And I think that was a fact with Roman. And Roman has a little bit of that. Number one, I think that there's times when I've seen pictures on the like I'll go through Twitter or something like that, and I'll say, is that me? I'm like, no, it's Roman. You know, because there's when I was Diesel, like
Yeah,
we
the long,
kinda,
yeah.
yeah. Well, there's a little once the tattoos, of course, now change it, but I thought we both kind of had like a similar look, and I said, geez, it's like almost like the kiss of doom too. It's like, you know.
So,
But now I think he's situated where he needs to be.
so would Roman be you? So that means would Seth be Sean?
I don't know. I think if you could get McIntyre and Roman Reigns to go over to AEW together,
Oh my God.
I think you could. I think that'd be a game changer.
Well,
That would do the same thing.
That would definitely do the same thing.
Everybody's eyes would go that way.
Man, that's something big. Before we wrap up, we had some couple of fan questions.
Sure.
And let's see here. Oh, is it true that Snake Eyes move came from you, Vinny Vega? Here the difference.
I saw the Undertaker special on the whatever the
Last Ride?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like somebody asked like, how'd you come up with Snake Eyes? I'm thinking, watch me
Vinny
do it as my fucking finish on WC. Like, why would it be called Snake Eyes if it wasn't fucking?
Nice.
The fucking thing was, I used to spit in my hand on TV as Vinny Vegas, and go, and throw fucking dice, just basically jerking off.
Right.
And fucking that, and then go into my finish. And that's mine.
Do you consider Main Event Mafia one of the most underrated factions?
Yeah, we were doing some numbers. I mean, and the thing was, like, Book went back, to WWE, and they just disbanded us. I'm just like, and we were like that. That was a good faction of guys. People were watching it. I looked at the numbers during that period. Like, those numbers are stronger than either of the shows are doing now.
Wow.
And that's another thing too. Like, Impact is still basically TNA.
Oh yeah.
And people don't realize, like, WCW was around for 10 years. TNA was shit. I think I was there for 9.
Yeah, they started 2002, so they've been around.
Yeah.
For quite some time. Speaking of that, so you wrestled during a period. This is another fan question. You have experienced a time period in the 90s where multiple wrestling companies were popular, WWF, WCW, ECW, etc. But the bubble burst. Today, some may say we're experiencing a second renaissance of wrestling. WWE, AEW, New Japan Wrestling, Impact. Throw RH in there. Come on. What needs to happen to stop the bubble from bursting?
I think one of the things is, you'll hear people say, what we need right there is, the old. It's just like, no, we don't need the old anything. Mm-hmm. Like, we need to just continue to go forward. And that's what the whole thing is about, like, NXT. When I was talking to Sean, I was just like, I said, like, why doesn't anybody sell anything? Like, why? He said, Cav, he goes, the crowd is conditioned for this, so you really can't slow, you can't slow it down. But then again, I say, what, like Mick Foley put over the fact of that tag hardcore thing that they had on
The parking lot tag match.
Yeah, he put that over on. I saw that he put that over on either on Instagram or on his Twitter. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen it yet, but I will because Mick put it over. And it's like, you get to a point where you like, when Mick went over the top of that cage and landed on that table, that's when, to me, when the business changed, because that's not a work.
Yeah.
What those guys did the other night, I'm sure like a lot of things they did aren't works. So the money is good right now because there's competition, you know. But at the same time, like, you know, somebody's making, say, $4 million.
Mm-hmm.
Scott and I making 2.1 in '96 is like 6.5 now. You know, with I mean, when you look at the money, and it's just like, so it's like the money really is kind of where it was. But the one thing is you can control. It's like, if you let the smarts dictate what you do, you're missing the boat. Because the smarts, we've always said, as long as we've been in the business, anybody that's really smart, everybody says the same thing. Oh, fuck, man, did you watch Raw? Did you watch AEW last week? Yeah, that fucking shit was horrible. I'll never watch that shit again until next week. Like, they're not...
Right.
They've been watching it for 30 years.
It's programmed. You're programmed to watch it.
Yeah, exactly. And my whole thing is, there wasn't this, like, when I was there, it was like when I was Diesel, we just had Raw. Mm-hmm. So I'm more adapted to just, I watch Raw. Mm-hmm. I rarely watch SmackDown.
You have to, because the boss, the blueprint, the standards on there. You gotta watch it.
So I mean, that's the only. So you know, I DVR it, and then I'll just go through and watch 2 or 3 people that I really like, and then you know, watch like. I always watch the beginning to get an idea what storylines are going. Mm-hmm. But like, there's a lot of things. It's just like there's a lot of wrestling on television.
A lot.
You know, sports entertainment. But you know, it's just like I don't have enough time to. There's a lot of I think that's what the problem is. And people say about numbers. There's so much shit to watch.
Yeah.
You know.
That's I don't keep track of ratings. I don't pay attention to the ratings like that because you know, not only is there a billion things to watch on TV, but you also have streaming devices. You also have our time is thin.
Yeah.
And bandwidth is thin, so you can't just. It's not the '90s where you could come home and sit in front of a television and maybe get onto some dial-up AOL. That's gonna take hours to download 1 gigabyte. Look, I know my producer here is saying we got to get you out of here. I enjoyed this conversation. I could talk to you all day. I did want to ask one thing because you mentioned NXT, and I wanted to end on this. The Clique has, you know, you guys were friends in a locker room, then across companies, and then it has turned a whole nother generation into the Bullet Club, which has turned into Undisputed Era, which has turned, you know, the Balor Club, which has turned into All Elite. Like the impact on that is still there, which you have Triple H and Shawn Michaels at NXT. Right. Have you ever just sat back and said, you know, we birthed this? Like, you know,
when we get together, man, we're not afraid to put each other over.
Right. Okay.
You know, we'll sit there and look and go, hey, man, for 5 motherfuckers that decided to get in a car together and drive up and down the road,
right,
we picked a pretty good fucking 5 guys.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
four of us are going to be 2-time Hall of Famers.
Oh, yeah.
And the only reason that Hunter isn't because he won't put himself in.
Yeah.
So the Clique would all be, there'd be nine people that'd be 2-time Hall of Famers, and 5 of them would be the Clique. The other ones is Hogan, Flair, Booker, and Brett.
Should Eric Bischoff be a part of NWO going into Hall of Fame?
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Where can I find you at, sir?
Where can they find me at?
Yes.
Twitter and Instagram, Real Kevin Nash. I don't have Facebook. Refuse to have Facebook. Yes. And please, air this before the election,
Okay.
because we've got to get this country back on track. We got to get Mr. Trump out of office.
What he's saying is, guys, register to vote. And
Please register to vote.
And especially since we just lost
Ruth.
So please register to vote. It is imperative that you register to vote.
Unless you want to live in a federalist colony.
I am your host, Neeson, and thank you for tuning in to THS Wrestling. And please, thank the legend. Can I get a socially distanced Too Sweet?
Socially distanced.
Look, we're smart. A socially distanced Too Sweet, guys.